It was so funny because the first 6 weeks they told us it was 1, and then 3 weeks later we went back and he was like, Miss Goldstein, we have a situation. I was starting to freak out because, we'd had 6 miscarriages. And I was like, is there something wrong? And he was like, no, Miss Goldstein. He says, we have a twofer here. I lunged for him and was hugging him. I was so excited. I was yelling, and the nurses come running in because they were they thought something was wrong because we've had so much trouble, And so they were like, is everything okay? And the doctor was like, yeah, they're having twins. My pregnancy was pretty much uneventful until the last trimester, and then Delilah started to have intrauterine growth restriction, and so we had to have an emergency C-section, and Delilah and Max were born premature at 32 and a half weeks.
And they did pretty good for being
preterm.
They didn't need to be intubated. They just had a little touch of jaundice.
Mm-hmm.
Delilah had a little of the hypoglycemia.
Mm-hmm. But otherwise, there was nothing really there to indicate that she had BWS at all. So she didn't have any of the classic signs of BWS. It was about that time that I started noticing that things were not right with Delilah health-wise when I compared Max and Delilah together.
She was very fussy.
Yeah, she was very fussy. They had colic, and I thought, well, maybe it's just colic.
The doctors, didn't really raise a lot of red flags when they reported it. Every episode at the pediatrician was kind of downplayed a little bit.
Despite us saying, that there's something wrong.
Yeah, we didn't do any blood work. We didn't do any scans until they were about a year old in December.
Delilah had broken her leg,
mm-hmm.
and then I just couldn't understand why she so easily broke her leg. And at the time,
mm-hmm.
That would have been a very big indicator for cancer, but at the time we didn't know that. That wasn't even nowhere near on our radar because we didn't even know anything about BWS, or nobody had even suggested it to us at all at this point. And I took her from the WIC office, her and Max, and I took them to the office, and I said, look, there's something wrong. I want you to
mm-hmm.
do something. Please, I can't, this is just not right. I went over to the hospital to get x-ray done.
Sent you for blood work
and blood work. And immediately after taking the x-ray, the x-ray technician immediately came back in there and said to me, Miss Goldstein, what is the number to your doctor's office? They called him. Then they made me go talk to Dr. Ingo on the phone at the hospital there, and he told me to come see him tomorrow morning. He was going to call me later that night around 8 o'clock to give me the results of some of her blood work. He called at 8 o'clock that night.
They wanted to send us to Greenville in an ambulance.
But we were like, no, it takes you forever, so we'll just go by car ourselves.
Let's drive.
Yeah. And when we got there, they were like, you're getting admitted, and we're like...
Yeah, we thought we were just going for a CT scan. We didn't have any bags packed.
Nothing.
We thought it was just going to be a simple, okay, we'll get this sorted out and go home thing. We didn't know we were getting admitted for several weeks and starting chemo and getting a Broviac put in.
And a liver biopsy.
We had no concept of
No
what
clue.
we were in for at this time. Before we made a decision what kind of cancer it was.
Yes.
What treatment options we had. They wanted to do a biopsy and an AFP test. And so we did this AFP. We didn't know what it was. And it came back sky high, off the charts.
It was like in the millions.
That's when we got our preliminary diagnosis
Yes.
of hepatoblastoma. It was itching too, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's got all wet.
All wet? Okay.
Got wet. Yeah.
Not wet.
Delilah, say your name. Who are you?
What's your name, Delilah? Can you say your name?
Lila? Can you say Delilah?
Lila.
You're just Lila? How about you, Max? How do we say your name?
I wanted to see the picture. I wanted to see what this was in my child. And that was the hardest thing I saw because I couldn't believe how big it was in my child. I needed to see it. I had to see it because I wanted to see what was hurting my baby. Delilah's my cleaner up. I was very upset. I was devastated, but at the same time, I realized that I couldn't worry about me. I had to worry about Delilah, and I had to just stop crying. I gave myself a couple of days, and then I just picked myself up and just did it. I said, I don't care what I gotta do. I'm gonna do whatever I can to make everything great for my child because this is cancer that we're dealing with, and I don't know how long I have her. I said, so I'm gonna do everything I can to make every day count for her, and that's what I did. It was initially brought to our attention the day that Dr. Hux showed me the CT scan. He told me that Delilah's hepatoblastoma
could be associated with.
It's typically associated with Beckenwith-Wiedemann syndrome. And so that was the first time I'd heard of it.
It's been a mess.
But Delilah has made it through it, and that's what counts.
She's a princess. She does not want to get dirty. She does not want to get wet.
She's the boss of her brother.
She's kind of bossy. When we went to Disney, we really saw her come out of her shell and really kind of loosen up a little bit, get wet. She got in a pool for the first time.
She loved wagons. We had to get a wagon for her. She loved the wagon.
She likes to help. She's very helpful.
She's very helpful. She likes to clean.
Let me help you.
My favorite movie is Bridget Jones's Diary, and one of the scenes in the movie is I love you just the way you are, and I wouldn't have you any other way. I would say to another parent out there, if they had just been diagnosed with hepatoblastoma or Beckenwith-Wiedemann syndrome, it's going to be okay. No matter what it is. That's what your family here is for. That's what the Beckenwith-Wiedemann community is for. And we will all be there for you. We will figure out a way, however it is, to help you. Whether it's to send you gifts in the mail, send you whatever, we will help you. And it's going to be all right.